Welcome to the Bank First Ranger Hour. Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 Spotlight on Northwest Community College. And you can listen to our live stream at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour. Now, here's your host, Gary Darby.
Well, you heard the big voice there. Let's go ahead and get started on this Thursday, October 30th edition of the Bank First Ranger Hour. Gary Darby in the Super Talk 93.7 studios. Here's what we are doing on the program today. Excited to get an opportunity to chat with another student. This one from the theater department, Noah Barnett. We'll talk to Noah, an award-winning person on stage, about Northwest and about theater and the whys, and move on into the next performance coming up at NWCC and a couple of other questions that we may ask. And then when done there, the men's basketball coach is John Redman. We shall talk to Coach Redman. Last week we had women's basketball coach Laterrell Williams. We'll get with Coach Redman because the Rangers tip off tomorrow in the Greyhound Tip-Off Classic in West Memphis, Arkansas. So, first-year coach John Redman will join us in the back end of the program. And again, conversation with theater student Noah Barnett. We'll meet Noah in the next segment. I hope we're doing okay on this Thursday. There are a lot of different things, too, once we get done with Coach Redman that I want to mention around Northwest and all of its athletic teams, because we have basketball, as I just mentioned, that's about to start. The Northwest volleyball team continues to play. The Northwest women's soccer team continues to do well. And then there is football in Senatobia tonight with Northwest hosting Itawamba. Both of those teams are 4-1 in the North. The playoffs are on the line. We'll talk about all of that at some point in our program as well. And there are high school football games in this North Mississippi area. Some you will hear on our radio group. Some that, well, both will be streamed on supertalk.fm. You'll be able to go and do that tonight. And so I'll let you know about that at the back end of the program as well. It is a Bank First Ranger Hour right here on Supertalk 93.7. We thank you for being in with us on days like today. We talk all things Northwest Community College. And when this program is done, a little bit later on in the day, let's just say you have to check out for a little bit. You can't listen to the entire final 45 minutes of the program, and you want to hear the interview with Noah Barnett, or you want to hear the interview with Coach John Redman, but you miss it, podcast form. Anywhere you find your podcast, the Northwest Ranger Hour shall be there later today in the afternoon. So be prepared and ready for that, as we'll give you, if you miss anything, an opportunity to catch it again in podcast form. 9:15 means take a small little break, and we'll come back with theater student Noah Barnett.
This hour is everything Northwest. Your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College and powered by Bank First. Thanks for joining us on the Bank First Ranger Hour. Join the conversation now by texting 662-426-1093.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 20 minutes into the 9 o'clock hour. It is a Bank First Ranger Hour. Second half of the program, we'll talk the men's basketball program. We'll bring first-year head coach John Redman back onto the show. Their regular season begins tomorrow, but now it's an opportunity to get a chance to talk to another Northwest student, and excited to get this chance with theater student Noah Barnett, who's on the phone with me. Hello, how are you this morning?
Good, good. How are you doing?
We're doing okay. We've made it. We're doing things, and we're talking about Northwest, which is always good. So the Northwest Mississippi Theater Alliance, they host a thing called the Alley Awards, and it's several local theaters, the DeSoto Family Theater in South Haven, the Warehouse in Olive Branch, the Kudzu Playhouse in Hernando, the Panola Playhouse in Sardis, and the Northwest Community College in Senatobia. And awards came out, and you got a Best Supporting Actor, Allie, is that correct, for the male role in the Community Theater Division playing Krogstad in A Doll's House. Is that true?
Yes, sir. That is true.
Welcome in, Noah. Tell us a little bit about you, first of all. Where did you grow up, and were you involved with any of these theaters I just mentioned?
All right. My name's Noah. I'm from South Haven. I went to DeSoto Central High School in South Haven, and in order to graduate, you had to take a theater class. Oh. And at first, I was a big athlete. I didn't want to do theater. I didn't want to be on stage. Well, I took Theater 1, and I hated it. But my mom made me stay in it. So then I had to take Theater 2 to get the last credit, and I absolutely loved it. And that was my sophomore year of high school, and ever since then, that's what I've been doing.
What do you think changed? What do you think changed between then? You know, the two classes.
You know, I really don't know. I have no idea. I think secretly in Theater 1, I think I liked it. I think I didn't want to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Theater 2, I let myself have the chance to actually do it.
That makes a lot of sense. So you were a freshman in the musical theater pathway, and tell us a little bit then, why choose Northwest and the theater program?
I chose Northwest. So my senior year of high school, when I was looking at theater programs all across the country, and I had different options, but I came in auditions at Northwest, and the teachers here showed that they specifically cared about me, and specifically, like, they actually wanted me here. And that honestly was the leading factor in me coming here. It's a small-knit program. We're all super close. We talk to everyone every day. And I feel like I'm learning everything that I could learn in a big program somewhere else.
You know, Noah, I've talked with people in the theater before, and what some people out there don't realize is they have to recruit students too. You mentioned your sports background over the phone. We've talked about mine and what I'm doing and things of that nature, but it's a recruiting process to get people like you, Noah, to come to Northwest, just like it is for the football team that's going to be playing later on tonight.
Yep, it is.
With that, did you know any of the other students that were coming in? Did that help sway you at all?
That did. All of my best friends that were in DeSoto Central High School theater, most of them came here as well. We all played roles together for years, and we're still here together, playing more.
So how has it been so far here in year number 1 of college working in the theater department?
It's been awesome. I'm actually a sophomore.
Sophomore, I'm sorry.
And no, that's okay. I'm actually a sophomore here. Last year, it was definitely a big adjustment, and I've absolutely loved it. I've grown a lot, learned a lot, and made new friends along the way, and it's been great.
So what is next in line? What are we trying to practice, rehearse, and get ready for?
Well, we have a play called The Diviners coming up. We open November 7th and run through the 16th.
All right, so what is your character?
My character's name is Buddy Laymon. He's a mentally challenged boy who has a overwhelming fear of water, and because his mother saved him from drowning when he was little, and the mom died in the water. So
yeah, see, I went to Wikipedia, right, to look up the Diviners, to see what it is, and look at the different things, and they have a synopsis of all of the characters. I like the way you characterize what the character is more than what Wikipedia calls the character itself. They weren't so kind but they did go and talk about the ability to feel water, yet suffers, from the phobia of it. How challenging a role is Buddy Laymon?
Ooh, man. So I have been wanting Buddy Laymon since they announced it.
Really?
last semester. I read the script and I was like, I want it. So I dug my head in over summer and went crazy for it. And I'll tell you, there's more character work than I could ever imagine. It's like after every rehearsal, I'm like, wow, I didn't even think of that. So, I mean, everything with it is so hard, but that's what I like about it. Like, I wanted the role because I knew it was going to be so hard.
All right, so I told you I was going to do dad moment at some point, right?
Of course.
Because the oldest is starting to be, and he's had very small parts, none of the leads, not a lot of different lines, and not a lot of different songs to sing, but the oldest is starting to get there, and he had been just in middle school things with Oxford City School District. Now, he tried out this week with the Theater Oxford for an upcoming performance of Charlie Brown, the Christmas story, right? Charlie Brown's Christmas. And he wanted to be Snoopy, and lo and behold, yesterday he got Snoopy. And to see his reaction, to hear him talk about what it meant to him at that young age. Now, you're obviously different. What was that feeling like for you, Noah, when you realized you got the role of Buddy Laymon?
Oh, man, it's undescribable. I would like to put it for people with a sports brain. It's like winning the state championship.
Yeah,
it was like I told you, all those months of working hard and the month I had kind of gone through a dry spell of not getting very much with different auditions, not just here but all over the community. And then I finally landed this one, and it felt great. It really did.
Sure, it validates the hard work, and it is hard work, people. Trust me. Watching, again, the young people that I've been watching, obviously, with my son getting involved in this, I mean, they put in hours of work, multiple days a week. Last week when the performance was going on, every day of the week. No, it's not just as simple as we can walk out on stage. You can say a couple of lines and all as well. You've got to put in a lot of work. So can you guesstimate just a little bit how long you and the other performers have been putting in to this upcoming performance?
Oh, my goodness. Like, unlimited hours.
Yeah.
We have three 3-hour rehearsals a week, which were since September leading up to now. And then now we're starting to have 4, 5, 6 until we're done rehearsals. So we don't know how long there'll be a week. So show week, we're here every day, and probably, hundreds of hours. And then not even at rehearsal, I'm in the script, learning lines, and then we're also building the set, and
Noah's with us, kind of faded out there with the phone. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this up with him. You said the performance of this begins November 7th, correct?
Yep, November 7th.
And then I want to ask one last thing. Obviously, this experience at Northwest has been good for you. What are the plans once Northwest is done?
So I am in the process of auditioning for a whole bunch of different colleges all around the country, and we'll see wherever that leads us. I'm planning to go major in musical theater and get my BFA in that. And after that, I'll go get my master's and teach college theater.
Excellent. Good. Well, maybe by that time, young Tyler will be ready to be taught by Noah Barnett. How about that?
I would love that.
All right, my friend. Thanks for joining us on the program today. Good luck with this and everything else. And it's always great to talk to these students. And you've just set the bar high for the next one that we bring on. Thanks, Noah.
Of course. Thank you.
Noah Barnett with us this morning. Northwest Theater student. Didn't get started until high school because you had to. And now He has the bug and loves the stage. Good to hear those kinds of stories. The performance, the Diviners with Northwest Theater, November 7. I think next week we're going to expand on that a little bit with some of the faculty, and we'll get deeper in that, give you more times and different things, but introducing you to the young man that will be playing Buddy Laymon, mentally challenged young man in this upcoming performance with the ability to feel water, yet suffers from an intense phobia from it, he tells you. So it's a good hard role, and he was able to get that. So the play The Diviners, which is coming up, it's a play by Jim Leonard Jr. about a backsliding pastor who benefits from a mentally challenged 14-year-old boy with an intense fear of water. We'll talk more about that next week, I do believe, on the program as well. Noah Barnett, he'll star in that and what sounds like many other things before he's done. 9:31. Thanks, Noah. And thank you, people, for being with us here on our Bank First Ranger Hour. The Thursday, October 30th edition continues with the head coach of the Northwest men's basketball team, John Redman, next.
Thanks for listening to the Bank First Ranger Hour, your connection to Northwest Mississippi Community College on Super Talk Mississippi 93.7 and streaming live at supertalknorthms.com. Just click on the link for the Bank First Ranger Hour.
All right, still to go after our conversation here with men's basketball coach John Redman. I'll talk to you about other sports at Northwest, things that have just happened, football tonight, different things like that. But we'll bring in the head coach of the Northwest Ranger basketball team now. John Redman's back with us. Hey, Coach.
Hey, good morning. How you doing today?
Doing well, and I hope you are as well. So it's time. Your season is here. We talked, it's been a while, a little bit ago, about getting the job, reworking the roster, getting ready for season number 1 for you. So how so far has maybe the exhibition games gone? What have you seen out of your team, and do you think you're ready to tip this thing off? You have to be, I know, tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, our guys, man, they've been unbelievable. One thing, we're playing, and they're playing so hard, and they practice so hard, and they just have, their attitude, man, has been such a high level. And I think when you have a bunch of good people, they have great attitude, you always have a chance to be successful. And my guys, their attitude, man, is unbelievable. And they're all working together and stuff, man. So I'm just really excited. The work's already been done. Like I said, the hay's already in the barn, and I'm just ready to sit back and watch these guys compete.
And I guess that's all you really can do. It's a brand new group to you. They're a brand new group together. So you do feel like they're molding together and becoming that basketball team that you hope they'd be?
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, now it's my job, not to get in the way. Put guys in the right spots and let them be successful. I think the best coaches, man, are the best managers. They're just best leaders, and I think sometimes you can talk too much, and say too much, and do too much, man. Just at the end of the day, man, you got to put your players in a chance. They can be successful, and then let them go. And I think it's tough for coaches now. Let it reins off, but I think if you want to have success, man, you got to let the reins off a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. Let the players. Yes, they have to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, but also, make the big plays and the good plays. And with that, since there are a lot of new faces on this Northwest team, tell us maybe a name or two when we get ready to start watching these games, tomorrow or that first home game on Tuesday, November the 4th. Give us a name or two if you don't mind.
Yeah, Dakota Morris, transferred from Barry University down in Florida. He came from us. He'd be a sophomore, man. He's had a great, he's had a great fall, great preseason. Demetrius Duffy, our big guy from Tupelo, man, he's he's gotten better and better every day. Man, really excited to see how good he can be, and and then our guard, Chancellor Terry, man, he's been a spark plug. He's been great, and but overall, man, they've all been great. My returners, Grant Hudnoand and Marcus Crawford, they've been great. And tell you what, I think when you bring a group together of like-minded people, man, this usually works out. And we got a bunch of guys that that want to compete, want to be good teammates, and at the end of the day, they want to play. And man, really excited, just to watch them play. Really am.
A lot of people, as the season's going, well, why doesn't so-and-so get to play? Well, okay, there's only so many minutes in a game, Coach, right? So, you've got to figure that out, like who will come off the bench, how many minutes this guy gets, and manage that. But do you have an idea, rotation-wise, of numbers? I'm not asking guys, but about
it's funny you said that, and we were probably one of the only few teams, obviously in junior college, but in Mississippi, probably one of the few teams in the country. I stubbed 5 in and 5 out all fall, 3 groups. So I played every guy on my roster, every preseason game this year, and I thought we played really well. So exactly what I'm going to do, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I think think about guys going to junior college because then they need to play, they need to get improve, and then have a chance to go somewhere else. Well, if those guys aren't playing, well, how are they going to improve?
That's right.
So I want to give my guys the opportunity to play, improve, and then kind of go from there. Except if something it's not working, we'll change. But I just think right now, like I said, in every preseason game, I played 15. I play all 15 guys, and I hockey sub 3 groups of 5 3 times. And it's different. And like I said, I'm not saying we're going to do that. I'm not positive we're going to do exactly, but I thought I got a really good idea of what my team has and what they can do.
Yeah, and you mentioned all of this, and I think it'll be obvious that tomorrow at 5, when the ball is bouncing around and up and shots and rebounds and things, you're going to be learning, don't you think, on the fly with that and with those players?
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. And I thought the best thing, in the preseason, man, it was a learning curve for me, as well as our players. Before every game, after the game, I'm a big note taker, man. I got binders of notes, just the last, couple weeks, and and just really, kind of make sure, I know who I am and what I believe in, and also I want to make sure our players know that. I'm a big core value guy, man. And I share our guys all the time, and I want guys to have a great attitude. I want guys to give a great effort. I want a team full about service, and I want a team that's based on love. And I think when you put all 4 things those things together, you got a chance to be pretty successful in anything you do in life.
Coach Redman, just a couple of more things with you. Tomorrow starts the Greyhound Tip-Off Classic, National Park tomorrow at 5. And then Arkansas State Mid-South at 3 over in West Memphis, Arkansas. Challenging yourself early with those 2 clubs.
Yeah, National Park, they won the D2 National Championship a couple years ago, and they have a ton of tradition there. They're huge. They're big, they're strong. They got a bunch of big transfer from a bunch of different schools. So, and we're not very big. I got a bunch of small guys. So. But it's not about how big you are, it's how good you are. And like I said, I think it comes down to how big your heart is. And Arkansas Mid-South, has been a good program for the last couple of years. And man, I said, at the end of the day, man, I'm just really excited. Go watch our guys, play somebody else, and just sit back and and cheer them guys on.
That may be where building some depth is going to be beneficial for you in times like that.
Doubt.
In the games that are coming up. And then, as I mentioned, the first time you'll be in Howard Coliseum, Dyersburg State, on Tuesday, November 4. All right, Coach, I want to thank you. I've got some items of business to get to in the last few minutes of the program. Best of luck to you, I will say, this weekend, and then we'll catch up with you, I would imagine, as the season gets going on. Thank you.
Hey, really appreciate it. Go Rangers.
Coach John Redman with us as the men's basketball team gets started tomorrow, again in West Memphis, Arkansas. The women's basketball team will start on Saturday in Mobile, Alabama against Bishop State. And then there's the double dip against Dyersburg State on Tuesday, 5:30 for the women's team, and then the men will follow at 7:30. So you have that coming up in Senatobia. So Coach John Redman taking over. A couple of guys that have been around, but for the most part, a lot of brand new players, a mixture on the roster of those up and down the state of Mississippi, then seeing, a couple from the state of Alabama, Decatur, Alabama, Theodore, Alabama. He mentioned Chancellor Terry, who is a 5'10 freshman guard out of Germantown, Tennessee. So hoops gets started with Northwest coming up tomorrow for the men and Saturday for the women's club. So all of that gets started. Elsewhere, well, the Northwest volleyball team beat Northeast in straight sets on Tuesday. They finished off the regular season with a 5-set win over them, but they swept them 25-21, 26-24, 25-15, and punched a ticket into the Region 23 volleyball semifinals in Ellisville on Saturday. Jones, the host, is the number 1 seed, and they'll be taking on East Central at 2 o'clock, and then Northwest against Pearl River at 5. So Northwest, the only team out of the north half of the state that's in the semifinals of Region 23, Coach Burchett's company, getting ready to hopefully work towards a Region 23 championship. Record-setting number of wins in the regular season, 29. Now getting this one and moving on in the Region 23 tournament. Women's soccer, number 3 in the country, ended the regular season with a 4-0 win over Colin on Tuesday. They're the number 2 seed in the upcoming Region 23 tournament. They'll host the opening round tomorrow against the 7 seed Itawamba. Kickoff for that soccer match is 5 o'clock at the Ranger Soccer Complex. So that's going on. Coach Beatty and company suffered a loss of the regular season, and now we'll try and avenge all of that in the Region 23 tournament, starting with Itawamba tomorrow at 5. Tonight on the Northwest campus, there's football as the Rangers' regular season comes to a close with a home game against Itawamba. Now, there are a lot of scenarios that can play out in both North and South as to who's going to make it into the playoffs. Colin in the South has locked in a playoff spot, but Hines plays Gulf Coast tonight. The winner is in, the loser is out. And then there'll be tiebreakers between that team and Colin. In the north half of things, there are four teams that are still playing in the mix, and they're playing one another. Northwest Itawamba and East Mississippi are all 4-1, and obviously things like Itawamba's beaten East is beaten Northwest. Northwest plays Itawamba tonight. Holmes is 3-2, 1 game back, losing to Northwest and to Itawamba, but they get a chance to play East tonight and be a factor in all of this as well. This is what we know. A loss for either Northwest or Itawamba could be really tough. It could knock them out of things as far as playoffs are concerned. So the Rangers, with playoffs on the line tonight, hope to get your support. Again, around 50 degrees at that 7 o'clock kickoff. They're asking you to wear Valor Blue. That's the blue color for Northwest. Ranger Stadium and Bobby Franklin Field against Itawamba. Itawamba has been in and out of rankings throughout the season. And when you look at overall what they have done, they turn into a 5-3 football team, but 4-1 inside the conference. And their one loss in the conference came last week. They were actually the last unbeaten team in the conference. But today, it will be a big one between the Northwest Rangers and the Itawamba Indians. Again, 7 o'clock will be kickoff time. Hopefully you'll be able to be there. And if you can't make it, Matt Enfield and Russell Copeland will have the call of the game with a pregame scheduled at 6:30 on Ranger TV. So maybe you can peek in, check that out. Either way, like for you to be in attendance if you can. If not, go to NWCCRangers.com and you can find out by watching or doing the live stats or whatever you might want to do to keep up with Northwest football tonight. Rangers are number 4 in the country, yet need the win tonight to get into the playoffs in the state of Mississippi. Football in this state, really every sport in this state, we all know that by now when talking about our community college world. I do thank you for sticking around and being a part of today's Bank First Ranger Hour. Noah Barnett joining us from DeSoto Central High School into Northwest, now a sophomore in the theater department. Great interview with him. And then Coach John Redman, the Northwest men's basketball team, will get started tomorrow with their regular season. Big football game tonight. Hope you're there. Northwest and Itawamba. As Coach Redman said at the back end, go Rangers. And so long, everybody.